everybody, it's James here with the Sawyer Family Reviews channel. Today is Wednesday, February 27th, 2019. It's my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. This is your weekly comic book pickups video. Every week I pick up my boys at least one comic each. Oftentimes it's more than one. I get my daughter Gracie one as well, even though she can't read yet. And as always, I pick up my comics at Queen City Comics in Fairfield, Ohio, zip code 45014. If you're in the area and into comics, check out the shop. All right, let's jump in. True Believers, which is Marvel's $1 reprints of classic books, is still going on with the Captain Marvel reprints. They usually do these as a tie-in to whatever's going on in either movies or comics or something. And this time it's tying into the new Captain Marvel movie. There are 3 today, and I picked all 3 up because they're all kind of milestone issues for the Carol Danvers Ms. Marvel character. First up is True Believers, the new Ms. Marvel. And this is a reprint of Ms. Marvel number 20, debuting her new costume, the black costume with the sort of lightning bolt across the chest. So this is when she switches to that black costume, which is carried forward for quite a while before she eventually goes to that costume later on. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys who did this one. So it's a reprint, but I didn't say who it was from. Chris Claremont doing the writing and Dave Cockrum doing the pencils. Yeah. So she gets some new duds. And she fights some lizard dudes. And it's $1. So there you go. Next up is a reprint of The Absorbing Man Lives. Avengers number 183, which I believe is when Ms. Marvel officially joins the Avengers. And this is done by David Michelin, or Michelin, however you want to say it. David Michelini, that's how you say it. David Michelini with John Byrne doing the pencils. Ooh, John Byrne. So this has got some fun Avengers action with Ms. Marvel joining the team. You got Absorbing Man doing his thing. You got some awesome John Byrne art. And you get to see her interact with the Avengers and become an Avenger. And yeah, it's $1. And last but not least is my favorite of the 3 reprints today, and that is the reprint of Avengers Annual number 10. And this is an annual, and it's still just $1. This was good. This fixed a big problem in the Avengers storyline where, like, Immortus had her give birth to another version of himself or something like that. And then he basically says she needed to fall in love with him, and he used a machine to kind of help her fall in love with him. And he wants her to take her back to Limbo because he's got to go back there. And the Avengers just kind of let him take her. Which, if you think back at that, that's pretty horrible that he admits that he manipulates her mind. And yet they're still like, you know what? Have fun. See ya. So Chris Claremont and a bunch of other writers were pretty appalled by it. And readers were pretty appalled by it. So Chris Claremont wrote this annual as a fix for it. Chris Claremont did the writing. Michael Golden did some awesome pencils on this. And it's basically Carol Danvers is back. She's lost, like, her powers and her memory. And that's because of the first appearance of another character who is closely tied to Carol Danvers, Rogue. So in this issue, Rogue appears and she steals her powers and her memories. But more importantly, you know, the Brotherhood of Mutants appears, all that stuff. But more importantly, Carol has a chance to confront the Avengers and say, why in the world did you let me go? This was a really good book. Yeah, it's got X-Men, it's got the Brotherhood, it's got the Avengers being called out for what they did, it's got the first appearance of Rogue. This is awesome. If you're going to pick up a True Believers, this is the one to get right now, because this is a really cool reprint. I think the boys are really going to enjoy that one, too. Okay, next up is a book for Gracie, and that is Barbie, number 1, from Paper Cut Z. Just a couple weeks back, I got her a Barbie comic from the Marvel bins, because she's been into Barbie lately, and this just came out today, and my comic shop guy was like, hey, Bob was saying, hey, check out this Barbie book. You want to get that for Gracie? And I said, oh, yeah, I do. This is by Sarah Kuhn and Alita Martinez, and it's Barbie. It's a Barbie comic. I mean, the art's clean. It's not too detailed. It's be fun for her for sure. All right. Next up is a book for Keaton, and that is Superior Spider-Man number 3. I'm pretty sure he's got the first 2. I think I remember getting them both. This is by Christos Gage, Mike Hawthorne doing the pencils. The Superior Spider-Man still exists in the regular Marvel Universe. Doc Ock is taking on a new persona, and he's out of California, I think it is now, being a different kind of hero, but he still calls himself the Superior Spider-Man, which is kind of weird. So, in the last issue, it ended with him facing off against Terrax, and I guess he's got the power cosmic at some point. So he's doing some fighting with Terrax, back and forth, the art's clean, it's Superior Spider-Man. It was a book to grab for Keaton, he's read it. I'm going to have to ask him if he wants to keep going, though. I know he wasn't a big fan of the whole idea of Superior Spider-Man at first, but I think he did like the first issue. And he's into the whole Spider-Verse thing where there's different Spider-Men. And even though this one's in the same universe as our Spider-Man, it's still kind of a fun Spider-Man book to read right now. At least I think it is for him. All right. Hey, don't fall. Stay over there. Next up is this book. This was not new this week. This came out a couple weeks back. I remember seeing it and going, you know what? Keaton would probably really dig that. A 3D comic. It's a reprint of, I think it's Uncanny X-Men 268, if memory serves, by Jim Lee and Chris Claremont, which is a flashback of Wolverine and Captain America first meeting during World War II with some other stuff about Black Widow and Baron von Strucker and other stuff. And it's in 3D. So I kept thinking about this thing, and I was like, you know what, if there's still one there this week, I'm going to grab it. The only reason I didn't grab it before is because, where's it say it at? Yeah, it's $8. This is an $8 reprint. But the 3D thing was so cool, and I remember looking at 3D comics when I was a kid. I think he would really dig it, so I went ahead and grabbed it for him. And since I try to be even with stuff, even though that book was $8, I decided to get him a $1 comic back issue, and that's one of these old Adventures of the X-Men, which was a 99-cent series. It was sort of a younger crowd for X-Men, and it's a Gambit issue. It's written by Ralph Macchio with Andy Kuhn doing pencils, and he's very much trying to ape Mike Wieringo's style, it looks like. And it's just a Gambit story where it looks like he's fighting some acolytes or something. Maybe it's not acolytes. I can't remember that dude's name. Yeah. So. Oh, I guess he's got an answer for Bobby Bow. I guess he's maybe an assassin? I don't know. There's so many of the guys that look familiar to me, but I can't remember who his name is. Yeah. So that made him have 3 comics because I was getting Blaze 3 comics. First up is, and he actually had more than 3 choices this week. I had like no choices for Blaze last week, but like way too many this week. So I got him John Wick number 5 because he has all the other John Wick issues, written by Greg Pak with art by Matt Guadio. Yeah, if you like the John Wick movies, you'll like this comic because it's John Wick doing John Wick stuff, and the art is pretty decent. I mean, that's a decent Keanu Reeves John Wick likeness. Looks like the guy handles action well. It's not too overcolored, and from everything Blaze has said, it's a pretty fun read. All right, I'm gonna have to like clean up the stack over here because it's getting crazy. Stuff's like falling all over the place. Another book for Blaze, Daredevil number 2 by Chip Zdarsky, and who's doing the art here? What in the world? Oh, there we go. Marco Cicchetto. I think Daredevil was accused of murder in the last issue or something like that. Back in Hell's Kitchen after traumatic injury and off his game, Daredevil has seemingly killed a low-level crook. Charged with murder, Matt seeks a way to clear Daredevil's name. So that's the gist of things right now. And, yeah, this art's actually pretty nice. Blaze was really into Daredevil when it was Charles Soule writing it. I don't know how much he enjoyed that first issue, but I don't remember him, like, going out of his way to tell me it was bad. So hopefully this was the right choice. And then I got him Aliens Resistance number 2, which is the new Alien series from Dark Horse, which brings together Amanda Ripley from the Aliens game and Zula Hendricks from, I believe it was Aliens Defiance, the comic? It was one of the comics. They're together, make their way back to Weyland-Yutani Black Site with the intent to disrupt a xenomorph-based weapons test. When they arrive, they realize what is truly at stake. They must do whatever it takes to stop new technology from being deployed. Story by Brian Wood, art by Robert Carey. So it's those two together in the same story, taking on, I guess, an alien weapon. So there's that. Man, my stack's going crazy over here. And then last is 2 comics for me. I got Invaders. I read the first Invaders. I thought it was pretty good. It's Cap trying to figure out what's motivating Namor's new fight against the surface world, trying to bring him back to what they were before, I guess. And then John Hammond, or Jim Hammond, rather, the original Torch android guy, he's going into the past and like looking through and meeting up with people that used to be friends with Namor back in the days of the war. There's a series of flashbacks told along with modern day stuff. And the flashback art is done by Butch Geis, and Carlos Magno's doing the current day art. And writer Chip Zdarsky's doing the whole book. I gotta say that even though the Magno, whatever his name is, doing the modern stuff is good, every time I get the Butch Geis stuff, I'm like, man, I wish this whole book was drawn by Butch Geis. But it is a good way of distinguishing when you're in the past and when you're in the current day, because the two art styles are very different. And Butch Geis does really fit the old World War II Invaders style better than using this modern guy would for that. It's got Captain America, Namor, and Winter Soldier. I mean, I love Winter Soldier. This stack's crazy over here. I'm just losing everything. All right, and last but not least is Marvel Comics Presents #2. This is a book for me, featuring Wolverine, Mr. Fantastic, and Gorilla Man. This is a return of Marvel Comics Presents, and I used to love Marvel Comics Presents as a kid because you got like 3 stories for the price of 1. So the only story I think that is a part 2 in this from the first issue, because the first issue had a Wolverine story, a Namor story, and a Cap story, if memory serves. And this issue has part 2 of the Wolverine story. In the last days of World War II, German forces compelled a French sorceress to conjure a demon known as the Truth to weaponize against the Allies. When Canadian soldiers attacked, she lost control of the demon and was mortally wounded. Logan was among the Canadian troops and intervened, giving the sorceress enough time to banish her from the world for 10 years before it will return. So basically, Wolverine's cursed to fight this thing every 10 years. So I'm guessing this is 10 years later, and Wolverine's got to face it again. So there's that one. And the second story is a story in the mid-1950s, a 50s story featuring Mr. Fantastic, the Sputnik Crisis. This is written by Mark Waid, who I'm not a big fan of. He used to write a lot better than he does now. Artist Jibril Mursid, a lot of names. That person. I mean, that might be pretty decent. And last is Gorilla Man. So that was one of the cool things about Marvel Comics Presents is you get Spider-Man in one, and then Wolverine in another, and like Stingray in the third one. It would have like weird stuff in the third spot sometimes. So this time around, it's Gorilla Man with David and Maria Lapham, artist David Lapham. It shows his first appearance. Right there, Gorilla Man. So, yeah, Gorilla Man backup story. Okay, cool. That's fine. And then on the back, it's apparently it's going to be Spider-Man, Captain America, Wolverine in the next one, so that's going to be awesome. So the Wolverine story will continue, and we'll get a new Spider-Man and Cap story. This is an enjoyable book. It's $4.99, so it's a little bit more expensive than your regular book, but you're getting 3 different stories. And that is it. Look at that. Man, that's a lot of books today. As always, if you like the video, please click like, please click subscribe, please click notify. If you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, have a great Wednesday, guys. Enjoy your comics. See you next week.